Archive 81. It's a show on Netflix.
Yep.
Real quick for anyone who hasn't seen the show, it's this guy who gets hired to restore some old tapes. I don't know what kind of tapes they are, but basically a magnetic film tape, right? And long story short, there's a melody that's accompanying the show that's like, it sounds really freaky and haunting, and I don't know. I've been wanting someone to kind of break it down, like what's happening here.
Yeah, so full disclosure, did not watch the show because it's scary.
It is it's frightening.
I don't watch scary shit. I'm a weenie. Like I can't do scary stuff. It fucking freaks me out. Some like psychological thriller stuff isn't like I can get into, but I watched the trailer and I was like, this is fucking gonna freak me out. Especially when it comes to technology. I know it seems kind of cheesy, but like technology scares me even more. When like spirits and shit are in technology, that shit creeps me out, man. So like, but I listen to a good amount of the soundtrack or whatever. And like, from a musical perspective, and again, I'm not like some super theory guy. Like I recognize some common. So first off, I had to study a little bit of film composition for a project that I had where I was working on a film, an independent film, really cool project. My soundtrack actually got nominated for an award at some indie festival. And I'm proud of it, but I didn't know what I was doing. And I don't necessarily think it's like the craziest shit I've ever done, but it's really cool to be a part of a project like that. Anyways, in my process to like learning that, both like technically because some stuff I had to score and some stuff I didn't. Like the process of learning how to score, like using the technology to score, like that was a whole process in itself and a really crazy learning experience. But like, I learned along the way that there are common chord progressions and chord voicings and things that you can do to create mood, which I understood mood inside of things. Like if you play these chords in this way.
Are you able to play the like one of the soundtracks and kind of comment over?
Oh yeah. Okay, so what you're hearing right now, it sounds like a crystal glass.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
So what you're hearing is like a lot of times stuff that we find unsettling is like dynamic resonance or feedback. I don't know what about our brains doesn't like feedback, but it's like an automatic like flinch, like we withdraw.
Yeah.
Right.
What is that like weird vocal thing in the background? Is it even vocal? Like it's like a like after a few seconds, that vocal thing comes on. Yeah. Yeah. What is that?
Yeah, it sounds like they had people, and they're going. So a lot of the I found that in sound, a lot of the stuff that we end up having visceral reactions to are they're much more biological in terms of like probably has something to do with like our biology as humans. So like I don't know why dynamic resonance and like high pitch resonance frequencies make us react. It might have to do with something like when we scream, we kind of generate similar tones. So it's like a fright, like a response. So when we hear it, it triggers some kind of response that's native to that. I don't know. I'm just guessing, right?
So you're suggesting that like the reason why some stuff sounds haunting or creepy even is
it appeals
because it registers to something that we've
it appeals to our biological nature.
Okay.
And music is like in my findings, and there's some scientific studies, although I couldn't cite them, but I'm sure you can look them up. Like music is biologically inserted into our whatever makes us human. Like babies coming out, they're screaming and making tones in like certain intervals, right? So when I'm hearing this, like, first off, nothing in this opening lets you settle on anything, right? So that already biologically is unsettling. Racket and noise and distraction triggers a confusion in the mind. If you start to put a pattern to it, like this, there's a rhythm, there's a phrasing, we can start to resolve and understand that something is happening. So we can start to anticipate something, and it can start to tell us a story. When there's no way to resolve, we get confused and it's unsettling. So it creates a bit of frantic. The vocals that we were listening to on that opening, this part, to me, that's like a fucking bug in your ear. Right?
Yeah.
It's unsettling.
Yeah.
It's like it appeals to that same thing. Like, it's super unsettling. It's nothing tonally, there's nothing harmonious about anything, right? It's everything is displaced. So I'm just kind of skipping around here. Let's see what this has got. This is just to me, this is like another example of like unsettling, right? Like there's nothing soft about this. A lot of reverb, which tends to reverb in audio makes audio three-dimensional. So when you listen to things with headphones, you're unnaturally changing the way that we use our brains process sound. You're isolating your ears, which that's not how they're designed to work. They're not designed to be isolated, right? So you can play tricks on the ears. And one of the tricks that we have, regardless of headphones, is this concept of reverb, where you add reverb is essentially an echo, just like lots of teeny tiny echoes being repeated over a length of time. Like they're so close together that you can't determine that they're an echo. Like if I said echo, 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 like you know that I'm making this artificial echo. Reverb's just like tons of them. Like humanly, I can't repeat it. Like it's just so quick. So reverb creates this dimension that the audio hits your eardrum. It doesn't, when the audio hits your eardrum, the reverb tells it, for some reason, it translates to your brain as it being close to you or far from you. So if something has a lot of reverb, it sounds like it's really far away, right? It moves it. So like it moves it in a three-dimensional space, where if it has no reverb, it sounds like it's right next to you, right? So like I hear them using a mix of things where like they're using reverb to make things sound deep and heavy and like very vast. And then they're using tricks where maybe not right here, but yeah, not here either. I thought it was earlier, but I could have been mistaking it for what I was hearing with one headphone off. But like some of the things were like a little bit closer to you. So it's it's about being unsettling. Like they're purposely kind of not putting you all in the same space, right? Because in my opinion, if you want to make somebody feel unsettling, you don't let them get attached to their brain being able to perceive what comes next.
Because not knowing what's going to happen next is unsettling in itself.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
like so like in music,
So it makes the listener anxious, right? Anxiety.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not like the right person to like try and give this example I'm about to give, but I think it'll be fairly apparent. So if I go, you can hear this. So if I go, but if I do this, so you kind of expect as I'm playing that, you get used to the idea of, but if I do, oh, sorry. Right? That last note was like, that didn't belong there. It doesn't sound right.
Mm-hmm.
Like theoretically, I'm not going to explain what's happening necessarily, but like you can tell it's unsettling, right? So from what I gather listening to this soundtrack, it's like they're using all those tricks quite often. right? It's like they don't let you get in a settled place.
Mm-hmm.
They also choose timbres that are appealing to these, you know, what I feel are like these biological impulses, like things that are like seem rough. I could imagine it being cold and not friendly, you know, sharp, abrasive, like the sounds of them, like the material. Like if someone was like knocking on a piece of wood versus knocking on a piece of metal, most people would probably be like, which one sounds creepier to you? They'd probably choose the metal, you know, because there's this like biological thing where like metal is cold and hard and wood is like stuff that like grows trees and fruit and stuff comes from that, you know. It's like, it's weird stuff that like until you start to think about like how that works, you know, there's a weird thing that's just like a part of us. And then when they use vocals, the vocals are always like super haunting. They're always never harmonious. They're always dissonant in terms of like harmony being together, dissonance being like not together. And it's not to say that dissonance can't be used inside of harmony to create some really interesting things, but like it's just unsettling. Like the timing of it and a lot of these things, like this is like this, like all of a sudden the girl's just like screaming, oh, you know, and like, and you also notice that there's like a cello or something in there. And like there's a tremolo, which is like a or vibrato kind of thing where it's like basically the notes are bending. So instead of the note being a clear note where, you know, she's going, oh, she's going, oh, and like wavering her voice. And it's like, again, it's an unsettling thing because she's not trying to do it to where you feel comfortable in it. She's trying to make it feel uncomfortable. And I think that's probably the theme because I watched the fucking trailer of that shit and the whole thing made me feel real uncomfortable. It made me not want to sit down and put a tape in the VHS. You know what I mean? Like yeah. It's very, very uncomfortable. You see things you see sometimes like at the corner of your eye, you think you see something on like a reflection or something. And it's like, they're really playing on that kind of emotion. Like, what the fuck was that? You know?